Every day, we witness racism, every day. It was with COVID. We discovered how badly prepared people of different origins were treated by COVID differently, how much they were experiencing higher death rates, how much they were experiencing less access to health services, how much because of the color of your skin, because of the history you carry with you, you are bound to be accepted in a hospital or not. We know how much discrimination is not only about races, but it's also about gender, and we have seen how much women have suffered during the pandemic. Maybe you have not followed up all of this because you have been you needed to follow your own studies, and I know how difficult it has also been for youth to be facing these requirements, these confinements, these very heavy burdens that the malady, the COVID-19 has imposed on you. But the reality is that it has not been an asymmetric impact. There are people that fare better, there are countries that fare better, there are countries that receive the vaccine immediately, countries in the north that were 80% vaccinated, while some countries in the south were just receiving 2% of those vaccines. And therefore, this is a world, this is an image that I don't think we are happy with. You should not be happy with. We are not happy with. And that's what we are calling on you, because we know that whenever we speak to the young people, to those that are coming to take the relève when we leave you, need to be better prepared than what we were. And then we also know now, and I would really like to give our thoughts to all the young people and all the people that are suffering in Ukraine. I feel that this is the most unwanted of the developments that we would have experienced. And again, after all the pain, after all these images, after all these things that we don't want to see, that we don't want to experience, and that's why UNESCO has been calling to stop the war, we also see racism getting just there. With the generosity of countries that are receiving millions, now millions of refugees, we are seeing this classification of those that they want to receive and those that they don't want, which is just incredible, because we're talking about people that are helping other people. And we see this discrimination against those that are of different prototype or of different origin. So I think this is our call. This is our call to say, let's stop this. Let's just reflect on why these things happen. Let's just reflect what do we need to do to stop this, and let's use the power of all of you, of all of us, of the cities, of the observatories, of UNESCO. UNESCO was meant to fight racism, of our connection with youth. We're just going to have this week, we are having a major conference on youth as researchers, because we also work with a lot of youth. We have reached so many minds and so many hearts. And this is the point here, because we are not only the intellect. We're not only the IQ, we're also hearts. And we need to think with our heart to reach out to those that are experiencing this terrible manifestation of not being so human. I wanted to say also that besides the whole effort that UNESCO is doing to reach out to you, and I also want to thank our professors here, because they are the soul of this Evelyn and Musée de l'Homme. You have been here with us for so long, and Emmanuel in the afternoon. Because they have the methodology, but at the end, it is you that we hope will get the substance of what we're doing here, and we take it with you. We're counting you not only to learn, and I'm so glad to see all these countries, because of course we have France, and we have Montpellier, and we have, but we also have Lausanne, we also have the US, we have the UK, so, and as I said, all these other countries that are going to be connected thanks to the very impressive reach out that UNESCO has all around the world. But what we want you to help us is not only to come out from here and think, I know better how racism happened. I know better how it is constructed, not only in our societies, but also in our minds, in our interactions as humans. But we want you to take also the tools that you will be provided to identify when these things happened, to say no, you say no, but also to help us convey this message to all of your friends, to all your colleagues, to all of your families, to all of your, I mean, no matter where you see it, when it happens, to say no. And also to help others understand why this is wrong, because sometimes people don't even know that this is wrong. I am Mexican. Sometimes in my country, whenever they see people of different origins, they feel kind of, this is foreigner. We need to say, this is not wrong. It's not wrong. We need to be able to convey this message. And on top, it's very interesting, because what happens is that it's not only about living in societies that can become discriminatory or that can have these developments that we all disagree with, but it's also the fact that it's costly for our economies. There have been firms and there have been universities and think tanks that have demonstrated how much it costs to our economies for being racist. And why? Because what you're doing is not only going in the streets, as it happened in the US just recently when people with the Asian profile were aggressed because of COVID. It's not only that cost, it's not only the cost of violence, which is horrible, but it's the fact that very large group of people are being denied the possibilities of more investing in educating on their children, of having better jobs, of being represented better in the labor markets, like in the case of women. We have made a lot of analysis of how much, if we close the gender gap, how much our economies will win. So I think from all the aspects where you see it, all the aspects, human, personal, economic, societal, racism and discrimination is wrong. But as I said, it's not only about the cognitive side that we are demonstrating. I hope that you will carry it with your hearts, because this is where change happens, when you are convinced that you can change the world. And we think that each one of you can change the world if you want it. And that's why we are doing this effort. UNESCO was the very first institution in the world to demonstrate, as you see it when you came in with all these banners, that there is only one human race. It's all of us. There's no difference. There's no genetical difference. There is not historical difference. There is nothing different. We are just one human race. And we were the very first one to do it with the seminal report by Levi, Ana Maria is Claude Lévi-Strauss. Sorry for the French, I'm just a Mexican. So the fact is that he was the first to say there's no races. But this was in 1950, not even myself was born. Can you imagine? And we continue with the very same message. There is just one human race. And this is the way we need to learn it, and this is the way we need to live it all together. And that's why we were proud, because after the terrible scenes of Black Lives Matter in the US, but after all the terrible scenes that we have been experiencing in Europe too, with the racism and with blockage and with all these boats in the Mediterranean without having access to any port, we relaunched the effort. It was our member states who said, let's go for a call against racism. And this was in 2020. And they asked UNESCO to really revamp our efforts, to do something else of what we were doing before. and we launched this roadmap against racism and the Global Forum Against Racism that's going to happen in Mexico this year. But core to all this is our connection with people, is our connection with students, is the connection with you. This is the core. The master classes is the most important tool we have to get this collective reflection that we're going to do with you, to think about these issues and to see how we can change ourselves, each one of us. It's not about changing first the world, I hope you will change the world, but it's about changing the way we see things and changing ourselves and changing our entourage. You are going to be, you will hear, as I said, from professors and experts about how racism and discrimination have evolved to become what it is today. You will hear also about racism legacy. We have a beautiful project, a beautiful program that is the slave route, the route of the enslaved people. It's to remember that we have this terrible practice of slavery, but it's also to trace what has been the legacies of this trade. And welcome to the top. More students coming in the room, that's fantastic. And we will be looking into that. You will also hear from city officials and students who have previously joined our master classes to give us their testimony. You, of course, are in the house. Not only UNESCO is the institution that is called to construct the avenues for peace and for peaceful coexistence. You know that we are the House of Education and we are also the House of Culture. So you will also see artistic performances from students from France and the UK and from the École Coutrajacme. And last but not least, you will hear the inspiring story from our special guest, Olivier Rostein, creative director of the fashion house Balmain. So challenging racism and discrimination is difficult, and it demands courage. We will be so proud when we see that the participants in these master classes will stand up and say, I don't agree, in any term and in any moment where you see the terrible racism to emerge. We will be delivering what we are wanting to deliver when we produce this positive change in the mindset of those who spread prejudice, biases, and racist attitudes. So we want to count on you. We want to count on you as our anti-racism champions that society needs. We count on you not to keep this information to yourself, as I said, but to share it with your friends, with families, with communities in this important conversation. We count on you to say no when you see it happens. Even in the most complicated moments, you say no and stand against it. It's not only your duty, it's our duty together. And I hope that when you go back to your school, you encourage, and you will be encouraged to tell your peers about your experience here. And I hope that you can organize social media campaigns to counter hate speech. You can help us develop contests, theater plays, debate clubs, elect anti-racism champions in schools. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and we also want to hear from you. What do you think you can carry this forward? It's a task. You are in UNESCO. I think this is a privilege to be in UNESCO. I'm, of course, the Assistant Director General, but I cannot believe my luck to be at UNESCO, this fantastic house that has been promoting peace and that has been promoting understanding through the whole expression of human artistic and scientific endeavors. And therefore, I want you also to consider that this is a privilege to be here, but it's a privilege in exchange of you committing to this fight that we all need to carry forward. I really want to finish by thanking the Permanent Delegation of Canada to UNESCO and the UNESCO Cairo Office for being our sponsors. As Garance have said, we really have a large group of partners and sponsors, but more than anything, they're companions, they're supporters, they're believers that we have to find better ways. And therefore, with nothing else to say, enjoy your day, learn a lot, take notes, take it with you, and help us spread the word no to racism. Thank you so much.